Thank you very much, Sam. We have our second guest in the studio, Mr. Mike Steytler, who's the president for Limbe Rotary. Good morning, Mr. Steytler.
Good morning.
How are you this morning?
Well, thank you.
I'm very well, thank you. Before we talk about what we're talking about off camera, about flood victims, first, a brief background of the Limbe Rotary. What is it about?
Well, basically, it's a humanitarian organization where we try and assist people less fortunate than ourselves.
Yes.
We're part of the Rotary International Foundation, which has about 1.2 million members around the world. And in Malawi, in fact, the Rotary organization does a lot of fundraising overseas. They then look at projects where they can assist, and then that money is channeled through us to distribute to various deserving causes. Okay. So that's what we do on a year-by-year, month-by-month sort of basis. Okay, we do a bit of fundraising ourselves.
Right. Okay. So do you choose which areas to give aid to, or are you just helping any area in Malawi as long as there is a need?
No, well, basically with Limbe, we're looking at closer to home, so we're focusing on this area where there's Blantyre, Limbe, down to Malanji, Mangochi area, that sort of area, the southern part of the country. But a lot of these projects that come from overseas, the donors from overseas, the Rotarians overseas, have identified a project, and they said, we would like to help XYZ, this community, perhaps one of their members have visited the country, and then they channel that through us. And I think why they like to use Rotary is because they believe that it gets to the end user. All the money that's donated lands up where it wants to be, to those beneficiaries.
Right. As a humanitarian organization, you work tirelessly to help the less privileged. With the occurrence of the floods, what role is the Limbe Rotary playing to make sure that the victims are helped wherever they are?
Okay, obviously there's a lot of deserving causes right now. We have limited funds in our bank account. We tend to fundraise for specific projects, but we had some money lying in the bank account, which we now earmarked at a meeting last week. So we're allocating about 3 million kwacha to various causes, and we looked where it's needed. So there's a few specific areas that we're now focusing on. Last Friday, we got involved with the Joshua Foundation. Okay. Medici, we did a bit of a handover there. That was just under 500,000 kwacha. On Saturday, we went down to Nasanji Hospital and handed over some medicines and medical equipment there. These are the sort of things that we're dealing with at present. So our members and even the press, through that, we identify a deserving cause and we try and help that. What we like to do is to actually go to the actual community, hand it over to the chief. We don't want to just hand over a check and that's the end of it. Yeah. We like to see that we're actually being involved. Yeah.
But you spoke of something very important before we came on camera about the fact that the flooding situation happens almost year in, year out, every year. Yes. What do you think can be done beyond giving them aid? Maybe there is a way of rectifying the problem permanently, a permanent solution to what has happened this year.
Well, it probably comes, understand it has happened before, but to me, it needs to be education. The people that live in those low-lying areas need to be encouraged to relocate to a different place. I was actually down at Mangochi this weekend, and I noticed that some of the brick structures were still standing, but a lot of the ones built with the sort of clay brick had collapsed with the thatch and things. So maybe it's a case of using different materials to actually build the house. But I think the prime thing is to encourage people to move away to a different area, to a safer area. Perhaps they can plant their crops where they are, because that's where perhaps the water and it's very arable. But as far as accommodation is concerned, that should be somewhere else. And it's up to the government to try and encourage people and say, look, this is dangerous. It's happened for the last 5, 10, 15 years. Let's move somewhere else. Because all we really do is just wasting money. There's a lot of aid coming to the country right now, and everything gets dealt with. The houses get rebuilt. Next year, the whole thing happens again. Yeah, that's true. And that money could be put through into other, perhaps more deserving causes on a sustainable basis. Okay.
But moving on past the floods and what you're doing for the victims, which is great. Any plans for 2015? The year just sort of kicked off. What is Limbe Rotary planning to do this year?
We have a number of grants in place. In fact, we just finished off a project with Peanut Butter Factory, just the other side of Lunzu, where we provided some equipment. We had a jazz festival last year in October, where we raised some money for Kacheri Rehabilitation Centre. We hoped to raise 3 million, but we raised about 2.2 million. So we're looking at a bit more fundraising. This year also, we got the 110th anniversary of Rotary as an international organisation. So that's in February, so we've got a few fundraising projects there. And once we raise the money, then we'll decide where we're going to spend that money. So we have got a few projects on the go. Obviously, we need that money to implement those projects. That's really, so it's a big year for us, 110 years old now, the organisation.
Oh, wow. a lot of years. But thank you very much, and good luck with the great work that you will continue to do, even beyond the floods. I know that the Rotary Club works tirelessly to make sure that those that are underprivileged have better lives. Thank you very much for your time this morning.
Thank you very much.